My lighting is really crappy in my room right now, so I apologize in advance for that. It's because there's a light directly up here, so I'm sorry for that. But, hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a book review. Yeah. Just a quick little disclaimer. I'm filming like 3 videos, one after the other, tonight, and right now it's a Wednesday, so this video is supposed to be Monday's video, but I didn't have time to film it for you guys on Monday, so it's getting filmed today on a Wednesday. So I'm just saying this now because there's gonna be like 3 videos where I'm wearing this exact shirt, and I just want to put that out there that I'm filming all 3 videos back to back in the same day since I missed 2 days worth of filming. But anyways, let's get on with the book review. So, and hopefully I can get through this with no interruptions this time. This is like my 3rd or 5th time trying to film this. But anyways, let's hop into it. So, the book that I'm going to be talking about today is called Unravel by Calia, and it's a novel. I do have some notes to write that I wrote down. That way I know what I'm talking about, because I read this book around the beginning of August, and it's basically the ending of August already, and I haven't read this in a few weeks because I finished it, and so I ended up eventually starting a new book, but I had to kind of go back and make my little notes. So this book has a total of 324 pages, and it has 40 chapters, plus that little, you know how some books have like an epilogue or something like that at the ending of the book? This one somewhat has something like that, except it's just it says Unveil. Basically talking about like what happens like a year later in the book. This book has 5-star reviews, and it's definitely a really good book. Another thing before we hop right into the actual storyline and everything is I want to talk about the cover art. So this is, I don't know if you guys can tell here. Let me pick up this for a minute, but this is the cover art of the book, and it's, in my opinion, it's really pretty. I don't know why, but it kind of reminds me of like, I'm not sure if it's like a tree in like winter time where the water on the tree branches kind of like freezes up and turns to like ice, but that's kind of what this reminds me of. And if you know exactly what I'm talking about, then you know. But anyways, let's kind of talk, now let's get basically into the storyline of the book. So the setting has 2 main settings that this takes place in. So the overall setting that everything happens is in a town called McLean. I'm not exactly 100% sure on how it's pronounced, but it's a town in the state of Virginia. So that is the overall place as to where the story takes place. But for the most part, everything in the present time period happens in a mental health institute called Fairfax. So, to kind of break down how like the storyline is, the main character named Naomi Carradine, I'm not exactly sure how the last name is pronounced, but the main character, Naomi, is basically in Fairfax's mental health institution because of some very traumatizing stuff that happened, which we'll get into, but, let's see, how do I put this? Basically, in Fairfax, she's telling the story of, like, what happened, and she's telling it exactly how it happened. So as she tells the story, it kind of gives us those flashbacks to what happened, and so it kind of plays a part, like, it goes, like, back and forth in a way, I guess. I think that's, like, the best way that I can put that. So I want to talk about, in order to, like, give you, like, a really good description of, like, the story, we're gonna talk about each of the characters individually. That way you guys can kind of piece it together in a way, okay? So, starting off with the main character, Naomi, she is a college student that's home for the summer, and she stays with her best friend Lana at Lana's house that she has with her parents. But eventually they move into an apartment that's not in that town, that's not in McLean, but kind of like on the outskirts of McLean, you know? Like, it's not too far away, but it's not too close either. So the next character, this Lana that we're going to talk about, she is the daughter of a senator, and she's also Naomi's best friend, as mentioned. So as Naomi tells this story, she mentions a, like, lavish party that Lana drags her to. Okay, now neither one of them are into, like, that whole, like, party vibe type of thing. So it's kind of, like, for Lana, it's, like, causes anxiety for her because there's so many people and, like, she gets nervous, all of that. This party is held by Lana's dad, whose name is Michael, and while there, Naomi meets this guy named Max, and she is, like, I don't know, how do I put this, like, she can't not resist him. She's unable to do that because, you know, he's, like, really good looking and stuff like that. And Max is new to town. He's a stockbroker, and he's, like, he has, like, this business deal with Lana's dad, Michael. So, let's see. Naomi, like, becomes friends with Max, and they end up, like, having dinner together one night, and when Naomi gets back after spending time with Max, she's back at, like, Lana's house, and she hears, like, a commotion coming from the barn, which is where, like, the horses are kept. So she hears that commotion, and then she also sees Lana's horse, like, coming from the barn, and the horse walks past her, and it's not exactly, like, I guess you would say, like, okay, like, it's not acting kind of normal like it usually would. Not entirely positive about that. But she decides to go see what the commotion is at the barn, and when she does, she is traumatized by what she sees. And she basically has no words. She doesn't know what to do at this point, and the only thing that she can do is just, like, kind of, she's, like, hiding in a way, I guess you could say, because she doesn't want to get caught catching the this wrong situation, because she doesn't exactly want to be involved in it, but at the same time she's scared because she doesn't know like what to do about it at all. And she witnesses her best friend Lana getting raped by her own father, and so Naomi ends up being like scared. She gets uncomfortable, and she's definitely traumatized by what she has witnessed. So when she's like at like, I guess there's like another party business type of thing that gets thrown or something like that, and Naomi goes there with Max, and they end up seeing Lana's dad, Michael. And Naomi tries as hard as she can to avoid him, whatever the cost might be, and she's just very uncomfortable to be in the same room as him. So a lot of it continues to go on until eventually she has a mental breakdown at a hospital, at like an actual hospital that you go in, like an emergency room type of thing. She has a mental breakdown when she's like leaving it, and that is what ends up getting her sent to Fairfax, because she just breaks down and ends up blacking out, and then the next thing she knows is she's waking up in a confined room. Lachlan, or however, I'm not exactly positive as to how his name is pronounced, but he is the neighbor to Naomi. They grew up together pretty much. He was new to town one summer, like when they were like kids and everything, so like they kind of grew up as like best friends, even though he's like 5 years older than her. And eventually they end up dating, so they become a thing. For the beginning time that Naomi is at Fairfax, the doctor that she has is an old man named Dr. Woods. He is the first doctor, and he's only mentioned for like a brief moment or two at the beginning of the book, but he definitely makes another appearance towards the ending of the book. So kind of remember, like, keep him in mind, because he, at the end of the book, has something to do with what happens, okay? But she ends up getting a new doctor named Dr. Rutledge, and for the rest of the book, that is Naomi's doctor. And the difference between Dr. Rutledge and Dr. Woods is Rutledge actually takes the time to sit and listen to Naomi's entire story, which that is basically the entire book, is what Naomi is telling Dr. Rutledge. And so eventually she does get to the end of her story, and Dr. Rutledge says that she's not ready to be released. Like, she did good, but she's not ready to be sent home yet. But this is where Dr. Woods, her original doctor, comes into play, and he makes the wrong move. So he is the reason, like, he's the one that kind of got her into Fairfax to begin with, and he's also the one that kind of gets her out of it as well towards the end of the book. He has a close relationship with Naomi's parents. And so, sorry, I keep looking at like this direction because the light just makes my eye look really weird. Sorry about that. But her mom, Naomi's mom, ends up signing her out of Fairfax the next day after she's completely done with telling her story to Dr. Rutledge. And this causes some drama to rise up with Dr. Rutledge and Dr. Woods, because he goes to Dr. Rutledge's office and they kind of have like an argument basically about the fact that Naomi is no longer her patient and is no longer at Fairfax because her mom signs her out and takes her home. Like I said, that is the wrong move. Not only because Dr. Rutledge had made the decision that she was not ready to be released, but because of the situation that happens when she gets home. So when she's released, she goes to Lana's house. And instead of like the apartment, she goes to Lana's parents' house, where she sees Max just banging on the office door, screaming at Lana's dad, Michael, to like stop or like whatever. And what happens is they end up getting in. Max ends up shooting Michael. I'm not going to tell you if he dies or survives because you have to read the book to find out. I'm not spoiling that. But basically, she goes to Lana and like it's just completely traumatizing. And then in a way, like this whole like fantasy type of like vision or whatever, however you want to describe it, like it all like fades because Dr. Rutledge ends up leaving Fairfax to go to find Naomi because she knows that Naomi is suffering from borderline personality disorder, where Lana is not even real. She's just made up by Naomi in order to survive that whole ordeal that I explained at the beginning with like Lana and Lana's dad. And Naomi created Lana in order for her to survive until the situation is put to rest. Let's see. I don't really know if there's anything else. So at the very end, everything like becomes clear and the truth is like basically out. And Naomi understands it all and she basically just gets like that clarity at the very end of the book. And I'm not going to tell you exactly how it happens. Like I said, you'll have to read the book to find out. It's a really good book. I rate it a 10 out of 10. And if you are going to be going to like college to study like psychology or something, then I would recommend this book to you because it's kind of in a way, it's got something to do with psychology in a way, like a little bit. But overall, it's a really good book. I would highly recommend it. So that is it for this video. Leave a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I will see you guys in the next video.